Well, for more now, I'm joined by Sergei Sumleny. He is the head of the Kiev Regional Office for the Heinrich Böll Foundation. That's a German think tank that promotes human rights and stability across the globe. It's good to have you on the program, Mr. Sumleny. Let me ask you, will the talks that were held today in Brussels, are they going to make any difference whatsoever in the tensions that we're seeing right now in eastern Ukraine?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. I think, yes, it is a very important step for Ukrainian diplomacy, the direct bilateral talks without invitation of so-called third party, which is, of course, a conflict party, Russia. Yes, like normally what European diplomacy offered Ukraine is always talks with Russia as if Russia would be a moderator or a messenger, but not a conflicting party that has invaded Ukraine and occupied huge parts of Ukraine. And now direct talks between Ukrainian diplomacy and US diplomacy is a strong sign towards Russia that Ukraine has a US support, and that is a very important step to keep peace in the region, that the US supports Ukraine.
What about the suggestion today from US President Biden that a summit take place with Biden and Russian President Putin both attending? Wouldn't that actually make a bigger difference?
Well, actually, yes, because that was the intent of Putin to start negotiations about his position. It is a typical Russian approach, first to increase tensions, first to build up army presence, and to threaten its neighbors, and then call for talks or for negotiations in order to save some wins that Russia has achieved in the region. That is always what Russia do, to start an offensive, to capture some territory or to gain something, and then to talk like how Russia can go one step back after having done two steps forward, and to present this as a diplomatic victory. I think that many things will be dependent on how strong and how decisive Biden will come to these negotiations. But now it looks like a minor victory for Putin, because it was his intent to invite Biden to start negotiations. Although there is nothing to negotiate about, Russia must bring its troops out of Ukraine. Russia must stop to threaten Ukraine and its neighbors. Russia must stop to bombard, to shell Ukrainian positions, and Russia must stop to occupy Crimea. That's so simple. Nothing needs to be discussed here.
Mr. Let me ask you, what about the mentality inside the Kremlin? Is it Moscow's belief that Ukraine belongs to Russia?
I would say partly. The most important thing is that for Putin, for Moscow, is that Ukraine should be a Russian vassal, like to do everything Russia taught. And that was the problem for Russia for many years. As soon as Ukraine started to demonstrate its own independence and to go its way and to be successful, it was seen in Moscow as a threat for Putin reign. And now I think that many parts of Ukraine, especially in the east and in the south, are considered in Russia as Russian territories, and as these days should be, if we follow the Moscow's perspective, should be at least governed by Russia, directly or indirectly. I think the most dangerous thing, the most dangerous part of this perception is that Russia wants to decide who is Russian and who is not. And mostly for Russia, Moscow, everyone who speaks Russian is a Russian person and must live under Russian rule. That is what, to a certain extent, what Germany used to say like 70 years ago. Every German-speaking person in Austria or in Switzerland or in Luxembourg is a German and must live under German reign. And that is what makes Moscow so dangerous for Ukrainians. As for many Ukrainians, Russian is indeed the native language, but they don't want to be Russians.
Mr. Sumleny, unfortunately, we're out of time, but we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.